please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
On this electrifying episode of MythBusters, Adam and Jamie take a humble water pistol to stunning heights. Can a water-powered stun gun really paralyze a perpetrator?
No.
Meanwhile, Carrie, Tori, and Grant tow 2 myths over the coals. First, firewalking, mythical mysticism, or scientific certainty. Then, flinging a fire extinguisher onto flames.
Tori!
Can it really snuff out a fire? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Get to the chopper!
And Jamie Heineman.
When in doubt, C4.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
That was it.
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
Who's gonna lose their teeth today?
Grant Imahara,
There's one giant leap for mythkind.
and Carrie Byron.
I went from totally optimistic to a little sketchy.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, something truly shocking.
You know, I'm one of the few people in the world that knows right now that you're smiling. What's the smile about?
I've got a new myth, and I'm excited about it.
Well, don't hold back. What is it?
Okay, well, rumor has it that secret agencies from countries around the world are developing a water-based stun gun.
A water-based stun gun?
Exactly. And it's our job to determine whether it's feasible or not.
That is cool.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Stun guns are stunningly effective, but hard to reload. So that's where the mythical water stun gun comes in. But is this watery weapon really the favorite gadget of spies around the world?
So you're the one that loves this, Smith. What's your plan?
Well, the first thing we need to do is get a commercially available stun gun.
And see what we can learn from it.
Exactly. And then we'll make a water shooting gun and hook up an electrical source to it and see if we can shock the heck out of somebody.
As long as that someone isn't me, I love this plan.
And then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So, first up, they're going to assess the non-water using real deal. And before you can say, don't stun gun me, bro,
Wow! I don't like the look of that.
That looks like it would hurt.
because it looks so hurtful, Adam's taking no chances.
We're obviously no strangers to being shocked on this show. Literally and figuratively. During the production of Baghdad Battery, Tori got shocked. Scotty got shocked. And I unwittingly got seriously shocked.
So with this stun gun,
Honestly, none of us feel comfortable either getting shot by it or seeing anybody else get shot by it. So, in this case, this dude here is our stand-in target.
3, 2, 1.
That is harsh.
I hit him in the face.
It turns out that a regular electric stun gun has wires that deliver a massive 50,000 volts through 2 of these barbed spikes. On contact with the bad guy, the volts instantly drop down to 5,000, causing neuromuscular incapacitation. And that simply means...
And when you get hit by one of these things, you lose all physical control. Your muscles, the nervous system, and everything just go haywire, and you can't deal with it.
Here at the MythBusters Electrolysis Clinic, we use the latest techniques to make sure those pesky hairs never come back.
so that's what the commercial stun gun can do. It's got a range of 15 feet. It puts out an initial charge of 50,000 volts, which drops to 5,000 volts on contact, causing neuromuscular incapacitation. But can an electrified water stream trump this trilogy? Well, just in time, a delivery's arrived by man. Water pistols.
Can a toy become a weapon? See, the thing here is that in order for the electricity to be communicated to our victim via water, the water stream has to be continuous, i.e. laminar, for you engineers out there. So I've got an arm full of all the latest water shooting toys. We're going to shoot them on high-speed camera and see which ones give us the flow we like.
First up, Adam sees red. By adding this dye, the water stream should be easier to analyze on the high-speed camera.
This is the Heineman at his most vulnerable, working with red food coloring. His white shirt could be desecrated at any moment.
With these spotless scientists still intact, the water pistol testing can begin.
Little football, coming up. 1, 2, 3.
You know, it looks like it's breaking up after just a couple feet or so.
And that's something the high speed clearly shows. The moment it's out the barrel, the water breaks up into hundreds of distinct droplets. A 15-foot continuous laminar stream, this ain't. Cue the 2-chamber deluxe edition.
I've got high hopes for this one, but we'll see.
But that breaks up too. They pull a different pistol, and another, and another. But they all break up, meaning there's no path for any charge to travel through.
What's next?
It's the last one.
It doesn't get any simpler than that. It's just a big tube.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what it does.
With only one potential pistol to go, it's the Myth's last throw of the dice.
All right, I'm ready.
Like the others, this fun gun sure is a super soaker. But is it laminar?
That is by far the best one we've tried yet.
At last, the high speed gives it the thumbs up. A 15-foot totally continuous laminar flow.
Now the question is, can we get electricity into this stream? Can we get it to a person? And when we do, is it a reasonable stun gun?
Okay, you guys, Adam and Jamie are doing a water myth. I think it's only appropriate that we do a fire myth.
Yes! Time to let out the inner pyro. Fire.
We've got 2 minutes you can unleash it on. First, if you throw a fire extinguisher into the fire, will it explode and extinguish the fire?
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
And second, we're going to be looking at walking on hot coals from a scientific perspective.
Kick ass. I've always wanted to walk on fire.
All right.
Hold your horses, Tori, because first up, it's fire meets fire extinguisher. According to our fans, the myth goes like this. If you fling a fire extinguisher into a fire, the heat builds up pressure in the tank till it ruptures. Then all the retardant spills out and douses the fire. Or does it?
Okay, so how are we going to test this one?
Well, this one's pretty straightforward. I say we just build a giant fire, put the fire extinguisher in, see what happens.
You know, there's not a lot of specifics to this myth, so let's take the 3 most common fire extinguishers with us.
So that would be water, chemical foam, and carbon dioxide.
Yeah, you did your homework.
Always do. We're here at the Alameda Bomb Range, and we're going to test the myth that if you throw a fire extinguisher into a fire, that will explode and extinguish the fire.
Yep, the guys intend to put the blowtorch on 3 everyday types of fire extinguisher.
The myth that a fire extinguisher can fall into a fire and extinguish the entire fire is sort of general. It doesn't tell what kind of fire extinguisher. So we went and got every single kind we could. We have water, we have carbon dioxide, and we have chemical foam. One of these might work.
First up for the slide ride into the fire is the most common type of fire extinguisher, CO2. And to understand why carbon dioxide is used as a fire retardant, here's Fire Physics 101. Fire needs 3 things in order to burn: oxygen, fuel, and heat. Remove one, and the chain reaction fizzles out. Which is exactly how CO2 works. Being heavier than air, it blankets the flames, replaces the oxygen, and the fire triangle collapses. But if you chuck a high-pressure CO2 canister onto a fire, will it actually blow up and put the fire out?
Now this one is under the most pressure, 800 psi, but it's probably the least likely to explode because it has a pressure release valve, and this prevents it from exploding.
And carries cocksure, it'll be a fizzer.
There is no way a fire extinguisher is going to fail so catastrophically that it explodes and then extinguishes the fire.
But despite everyone's conviction, she and Grant hunker in the bunker, while Tori, with his pre-flight check complete, launches the CO2 tank.
Ready? Ready?
Run, Tori, run!
And then beats a hasty retreat. Down the hill, Tori only just has time to get his breath back.
It sounds like something's hissing.
Yeah, the safety valve released.
Before the experiment fizzles out, as the pressure relief valve does its job. And 15 minutes later, it's empty.
It's a good testament to the safety feature that's built in there. It's designed in an overpressure situation, such as raising temperature, to vent all the CO2 safely. As far as this myth goes, it's busted for the CO2.
Hold your flaming horses, Grant. There are still 2 other types of extinguisher to test: water and foam. And unlike the CO2, neither has a safety valve. Next, Adam's shocked when Jamie unveils the AquaZap.
When those water streams hit your suspect, ho-ho, they are yours, gift wrapped.
Will flinging a fire extinguisher into a fire make it explode and put said fire out? Carrie, Grant, and Tori have tried a CO2 canister, but it was a fizzer. So, how about a water extinguisher?
It's a relatively simple system. This is a pressurized tank, and it's meant to have both liquid and gas in it. Put this in the fire, heats up the water, creates steam, increasing the pressure, and hopefully rupturing the tank.
So while our twisted fire starters do their thing, let's get a prediction from Carrie.
Even if there's a rupture, I don't see the fire going out. This is a big fire, and I just don't think that there's going to be enough explosion to put it out completely.
All right, so fire's ready. So this is water extinguisher. All right, let's do it. In 3, 2, 1.
At over 1,000 degrees, the burning coals rapidly convert the water inside the tank to steam under ever-increasing pressure. And remember, there's no safety valve on this one.
Hopefully we'll get a rupture.
So then water will go everywhere and put out the fire if the myth is true. If not, it's busted.
But at the 9-minute mark, the canister has conniptions.
We almost took out the thermal camera.
It actually came at us!
Now, it didn't explode or put out the fire, but it did turn into a little rocket. And the whole can, like, flipped over and then it went straight at us.
But as far as the myth goes...
So far, this myth is looking busted.
Yep, so far that's 2 in the busted bin. But up next, the foam fire extinguishers in the firing line.
Next up, chemical foam. Now this is an aqueous film-forming foam. This is for Class B fires, which is flammable liquids, like solvents or oils or that sort of thing.
Foam extinguisher in 3, 2, 1.
And in she goes.
We got 9 minutes before the last one blew.
You gonna bring cards?
Let's do charades.
Okay, you first. Okay.
2
words.
I get you.
Sounds like...
It put out the fire! It exploded and put out the fire!
Oh my God!
It's rain! Oh, it's rain.
Oh God! No!
Yep, the foam-filled canister blew the fire into the next county.
That was awesome!
Where's the canister?
I don't know, but it definitely exploded and it put out the fire. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, I'd say there's still a few embers, but it is plausible at least.
Oh, definitely plausible. Look at that. That could put out a fire.
Yep, it blew out the fire all right, but not in exactly the same way the myth described.
Put out the fire!
It wasn't the sudden release of the canister's retardant that dampened the flames. The explosion simply scattered the fuel to the far-flung regions of the range. And this success has given the guys an idea for one more test. Another 800 psi CO2 canister, but this time with a dangerous difference.
You know, there's no safety feature on the water or on the chemical foam, and that was kind of exciting. So we're going to see what if for some reason there was a fault in the system? What if that safety feature wasn't there? What would happen?
Unnecessary? Sure, but it sounds exciting. Remember, these two are only under 100 psi. So can they extinguish a fire by taking the safety out of a CO2 safety valve? Adam and Jamie are on a mission to test the tall tale that secret agents have developed a water-powered electric stun gun. So it's water pistols at 15 feet. They've locked in the gun. Now they want to load it with electricity. So Jamie takes one water pistol and connects it to another. It's the basis for his water stun gun.
To this, we're going to attach a stun gun to supply the electricity, so that when we fire this stream of water, we actually zap somebody. That's why we call it the Aqua Zap.
And Adam's already seeing marketing opportunities.
Allow me to walk you through some of the finer details of the new AquaZap water suspect acquisition system. This will be worn on your belt in the field. When you see a suspect, all you gotta do is find a source of some salt water, and normal table salt works just great. Draw up water into your tubes, and then aim at your suspect. Pull the trigger of this electric device right here. Electricity will travel through these two wires out to electrodes that are in the water stream, and when those water streams hit your suspect, ho-ho, they are yours. Gift wrapped. So we've got our gun, we've got it hooked up to stun gun power. Now we need to test it.
Well, what we need to find out is whether the stream of water is able to carry enough electricity to actually zap somebody. And I have a plan. It works like this. You get a couple of buckets. You put a couple of metal plates at the bottom of the buckets. They're wired to a meter. You shoot water into the buckets. The electricity flows through the meter, and you can measure what you've got and whether it's enough to actually zap somebody.
Not bad. It sounds a little complicated.
Well, it is a little bit, but I happen to know a qualified electrical engineer, and we could bring him in.
And that highly experienced engineer is Grant. He's got the job of putting together the 2-bucket target with copper sensors in the bottom. All will be revealed on his oscilloscope reader.
And we'll know if the signal is being transferred to the target via the water by what we see on the electrical screen.
With everything set, Jamie's ready to wield the wacky water weapon. So cue the sarcastic sidekick.
I think it's clear that one of these is going to be on the belt of every police officer in the country inside of a couple of years, man. This thing's gonna shake things up.
CIA, take note. This might be the moment of truth you've been waiting for.
Did you get something?
I did actually get something.
Jamie's bullseyed the sensors, but the zap detector has brought up a dodgy reading.
What it's reading like is that it's like it hasn't made contact with a person yet.
And this means just one thing. Over to you, Grant.
Now, interesting thing about stun guns, they have 2 phases. First phase, really high voltage. And that is to arc, let's say you have an air gap, the barbs are caught in your clothing, whatever. It arcs so that it makes a connection. And that goes to the second phase, which is called the loaded phase. And that's where the stun gun actually does its work of incapacitating the target. And that is where we want to be. The bucket rig, preventing it from getting to that second phase.
Thanks, Grant, but I, for one, need a graphic. Leaving the muzzle, the stun gun barbs spark at 50,000 volts, called the arcing phase, as they try to complete a circuit. On contact with the target, they hit the loaded phase, where the volts drop instantly to 5,000. 5,000 volts means the target isn't killed, he's just incapacitated. So for take two, the buckets kick, so to speak, and there's a ballistics gel dummy in its place. Will this get them into the loaded phase they're looking for?
We have put a pair of screens in that describe the two extents of where his heart would be if he had one. This allows us to measure the exact amount of electricity the stun gun applies to your heart when you get zapped.
Jamie's locked and loaded for a test at point-blank range.
3, 2, 1.
But even at that distance, it's not a good start.
Looks like it's going into the loading phase, but the voltage is much, much less.
It's hit the loaded phase okay, but the voltage is so low it wouldn't even stun a stink bug. So the ballistics gel test is already looking very shaky. Jamie tries again, this time from 5 feet away.
Go for it.
But now it's gone from bad to worse.
This trace right here indicates that you never made it into the loading phase.
But we did get a signal out of it.
Yes, but it's still in the arcing phase.
And that's not what you'd call ideal in a stun gun.
It's not where you want to be if you want to stun someone.
It's where you want to be if you want to
potentially kill them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All in all, it's not going well. In a tedious, tiresome afternoon, attempt after attempt yields a totally different result. From no stun to death.
These electricity myths really kick our ass, I swear.
Which is Adam speak for this myth's heading due south. Later, the stun gun gets stunning. But next, the team confronts their fiercest fiery fear.
In 3, 2,
Gary,
1.
Grant, and Tori are tinkering with exploding fire extinguishers. But more on that later. Next, they're mulling over the myth that walking on hot coals is mostly a mind over matter.
You know, I've always been really curious about firewalking.
Yeah, me too, and I've seen people do it, but they're always in like a trance-like state. So I was wondering, is that something anybody can do?
Yeah, is it mind over matter, or is it a technique based in science and ultimately an explainable phenomenon?
Exactly.
Well, first, why don't we go talk to some experts, find out how they make the fire, if there's a special way to walk on it.
All right, let's go find some firewalkers.
So how exactly do you walk on red-hot coals without searing your souls?
Better to be rare than well done.
Many MythBuster fans think it's all down to mind over matter.
For reasons completely unknown to science, the dancers emerge from this ordeal entirely unharmed.
Or is it a matter of science? And to begin answering these, oh dear, burning questions, Carrie and Grant take a firewalking field trip.
So we're here on a fact-finding mission. We're in Sonora, California, and we're here to observe an actual firewalking class being put on by the Firewalking Institute of Research and Education. Hi, are you Tolly?
I am Tolly.
I'm Grant.
Incredibly, Tolly teaches his students to walk across coals burning at 1,000 degrees.
All right, 1,000 or 2,000 degrees, that seems crazy to me. It seems like you're grabbing a pan out of the oven without using oven mitts. Can you just walk normally across the coals, or is there some sort of special way to do it?
Well, actually, the special way is to walk like you're walking down the street. You don't want to run, because then you'll be pounding your feet down into the coals. You don't want to stop. You want to take light steps.
Well, it's easy to talk the firewalk talk, but let's see you walk the firewalk walk.
You learn this in the Boy Scouts?
I was never in the Boy Scouts.
Carrie and Grant watch closely as the class carefully construct the perfect firewalk fire. From light up to step up takes just over an hour. But after collecting some daunting data,
I'm getting a top of about 1,300 Fahrenheit.
Carrie is convinced that what matters is not what's in your mind, but how hot the darn coals are.
After measuring this fire at 1,400 degrees and hearing that after they rake it out, it only is going to go down to about 1,000, there's absolutely nothing so far that's convinced me that I'm going to walk on this.
But that's not stopping anyone else. The students, in their zen-like zone, glide across without a single injury. But before the team test it themselves, Grant, for one, wants some hard data.
I've seen it done, but I'd like to have a little bit more scientific backing before I'm willing to risk my feet.
So it's back to the shop where the science can begin. And to find out just how much heat gets to the feet, Carrie begins by fabricating a fake foot from heat-resistant silicone. Now let's step over to where Grant's making a sensor, used to assess burning in firefighting outfits.
So this is called the copper slug calorimeter, and the idea is that you have this disc of copper that's an exact size and weight, and based on those characteristics and its thermal transfer, you can connect a thermocouple to it, which measures temperature. You'll be able to predict whether or not you're going to get first, second, or possibly even third-degree burn.
And once wired up, these copper slugs will transmit that temperature info to a computer. And with the sensors embedded in the silicone and the fake feet screwed to the bottom of Carrie's shoes, the teen's ready to stroll across hot coals.
All right, you guys, it's over 1,000 degrees, which is what we saw at the firewalk. You ready to go?
Yeah, I see the coals glowing.
Okay, go ahead.
While Carrie crunches the coals with her silicone soles, Grant's computer crunches the numbers.
Yeah! See, that wasn't so bad.
No.
All right, Grant, what'd you get?
I got some really interesting results.
And the first set of results up for analysis is the high-speed camera shots, showing exactly how much toe-touching time there is.
So it turns out that my foot was only in contact with the hot coals from heel to toe for 9/10 of a second. And my full weight was only on it for 5/10 of a second. So right there shows you that might be one of the reasons that you don't get burned when you walk across hot coals, is you're not touching the coals for very long.
And what about the temperature and burn sensor data?
The interesting thing is that we don't predict any injury, first, second, or third-degree burns, during a normal walk. So as long as she keeps moving, theoretically, you won't get burned.
A theory backed up by this demonstration that the humble hot coal is actually very cool.
Apparently, charcoal and ash are 4 times better at insulating